Alrighty. Blair White needs no introduction, of course. We all know who she is, and we all know that she despises non-binary people with a burning passion, because she's one of the good ones. She's one of the good trans women. So in order to make sure that her very conservative audience remains supportive of her, or at least tangentially supportive of her in the way... It's more of like a, most trans people are mentally ill freaks. You are too, Blair. But hey, as long as you shit on the other trans people, we're okay with you. That's basically most of Blair White's audience. It's actually really, really crazy, dude. I check my comments on my videos every once in a while, and every comment from Blair White fans, by the way, on videos where I cover Blair White are saying things like, of course Blair White's not a woman. She knows that. That's why she's making this content. Like, her fans go mask off as fuck in my comments. That one video where Blair White literally just said, no, I'm not a real woman. When I covered that, her fans came into the comments of my video to say, yeah, she's not a woman. Trans women aren't women. Like, that's literally what they were saying. I'm not even kidding. She's absolutely... They're absolutely mask off. And I feel very, very bad. I feel very, very bad for Blair. However, today... she's dipping into a topic that, boy, I don't know if I'm going to have much to say on because it is a little bit silly. However, I'm going to say what I can, okay? I imagine you guys can probably guess what the video is going to be about, going entirely off of the thumbnail. So I'm going to go ahead and just show it. Ooh, yeah. Yeah. Oof. Oh boy. Neopronouns. Let's go ahead and examine this thumbnail. So you've got Blair White, and she looks very, confused and exacerbated by everything going on. Like, oh god, what the fuck is this? And we've got a furry, because the internet hates furries, rightfully so. The internet hates furries, and so obviously associating any group of people with furries is a pretty good way of making your audience automatically not like that group. Listen, I have no problem with furries. I think they're cringy, but let's be honest. When you're on the internet, associating any group of people with furries immediately helps your argument if you want your audience to not like that group of people, right? And then we've got this individual here who... to say the least, is a bit vibrant. They've got the makeup on, the dyed hair, the side cut, the, pretty interesting makeup, beard, nose ring. I mean, this overall vibe is just immediately going to make anybody who would watch a Blair White video despise them right off the bat. There's nothing wrong with looking like this or dressing like this if you want to. You're not hurting anybody, and there's no reason to hate you if this is how you look. But let's be honest, if we're talking about Blair White's audience, who is terminally stuck in 2016, then evoking this imagery is the fastest way to get them on your side, right? So you basically have a silly-looking SJW-looking kind of person, and then a furry. And then we have the neopronouns. So first we have they, them, which I don't believe count as neopronouns. Am I wrong about this? I'm not trans, so I don't know. I don't think they, them are neopronouns, are they? Because we use they and them all the time for people that aren't trans. When we talk about neopronouns, we're usually talking about like Zer, which is here. And then we have bunny self. Oh boy. Alright. I'm not gonna hold you guys up any longer. Let's just watch the video. You guys ready? Good luck. Here we go.
Oh hey, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My pronouns are that bitch.
That bitch pronoun merch on sale now.
What are your pronouns, Bella? What are they? I think she just called me a man. Today.
What the fuck was that? Like, holy shit. That's some leftist audio that just kicked in there. And yeah, your dog probably did just call you a man. It seems like everybody in your fucking life. Like, I can't stress enough. Every time I make a video on Blaire White, her fans come into the comments and they don't dunk on me. They dunk on Blaire White by misgendering her and calling her a man. But they're not like, they're Blaire White fans. Her fans come to my comment section to leave hate comments, misgendering and being transphobic towards Blaire. This is the audience that she's cultivated. Everybody who is maybe a bit more naive on who Blaire is, or, you know, maybe was just a little bit misled on these issues, they all left after the Janae Marie Kroc shit happened. They all left. Blaire White got destroyed by that. She lost her mainstream relevance. Nowadays, you know, this is a video on neopronouns. Like, a year and a half ago, or even a year ago, this video would have millions of views already. This video would have over 1 million, at least 2 million views now. It's only at 200K because Blaire has completely ostracized everyone from her audience that isn't a sycophantic transphobic conservative that just watches her because she's one of the good ones, and they'll take anything they get when it comes to shitting on trans people, even if the shitting on is coming from a trans person. Let's go ahead and watch.
Today we're diving into a trans topic that I have not touched upon. Surprising. We're talking about neopronouns today. Now, if you don't know what neopronouns are, I learned like 3 days ago, so don't feel bad. So according to Miss Google, neopronouns are a category of new neopronouns that are increasingly used in place of she, he, or they when referring to a person. So some examples that we have here are bug and bug self, it and itself. That one's a little degrading. Bun and bun self, when you're like a bunny, and tree self. There are more, but those are the most popular ones. So if you're thinking Blaire...
All right. This is when Twitter's going to come for me, okay? I want to preface this by saying there's absolutely nothing wrong with going by neopronouns, okay? There's literally nothing wrong with it, all right? Literally nothing. If you go by neopronouns, I'll respect those neopronouns, but they are a little bit silly. They do sound a little bit silly, right? Which is the main point of this video, right? Because people who claim to be libertarian or to not really care about anything that someone does as long as it's not hurting anybody are still going to find it silly, and that's gonna give them something to make fun of. You guys can get mad all you want. It's true. Neopronouns sound silly. If they didn't sound silly, so many people wouldn't be making fun of them. This isn't the fault of anyone who identifies that way, but unfortunately, we've got a lot of work to do when it comes to trans acceptance before we can get to a society in which anybody identifying with neopronouns won't be laughed at by the majority of the internet. I'm sorry, but like, they're silly but harmless, but yeah, no, the majority of the internet will probably laugh at you if you go by neopronouns. It's unfortunate and it's sad, but that's the world that we live in right now. People claim that they don't care what anybody does as long as it's not hurting anybody, but you know, they're gonna make fun of you if you have neopronouns. They do sound silly.
That is absolute bullshit, and no one actually uses those pronouns. I wish that were the truth. How much do you want to bet you're wrong? So actor Kenan Lonsdale, better known for his work on The Flash and Love, Simon, both shows that I have not watched, came out and identified his new pronouns that he wants everyone to use for him, which are tree and tree self. In an interview, he said, "I want people to call me tree because we all come from trees. So it doesn't matter if you're a he or a she or a they or a them." I thought we all came from monkeys. At the end of the day,
Oh. Okay. Oh. Okay. Oh God. Oh God. Ooh. We do all come from monkey. That is true. Monkey. I think with the argument that Tree was making, I don't know, chat, I'm gonna be honest. I think the argument that Tree was making is that all the oxygen we breathe comes from trees, which also isn't true. Most of the oxygen in our atmosphere comes from plankton. But still, this doesn't hurt anybody, even if it is very funny and silly.
Everyone's a tree.
Can we just have a good time, please? Can we just have a good time?
I want to call my friends tree and me tree and everyone tree. So my first thought is that I want whatever tree he's smoking. That's not no regular tree, sis. You're on the good shit. My second thought is that this is highly narcissistic behavior. And no one ever really brings...
I'm gonna be honest, okay? I don't think I could ever get high enough from smoking weed that I'd think I was a tree. All right, let's be real, Blair. Blair White doesn't smoke weed. I'm calling it right now. Blair White probably thinks that weed should be illegal, but she lives in LA, in California, where weed is legal. I wouldn't be surprised if Blair probably thinks that weed should be illegal, but yeah, she's probably pretty straight edge when it comes to the drugs. No, I can pretty strongly say that weed has never made me feel like I'm a different thing. She moved? Did she? Thought she still lives in LA. When did she move? She probably moved to get away from all the weed.
Up narcissism when it comes to people who want people to call them doll and doll self and use these crazy pronouns that really just don't align with how human beings speak about other human beings. Like, there is so much narcissism that goes into that. If you expect everyone around you to alter the language in which they use for human beings, not even just for genders, because I remember when I first came...
What the fuck? Hey, this is like... It's insane to me that Blair White is a propagandist, and yet she's so bad at making arguments for her own side. This isn't even a good argument against neopronouns. What the fuck? It's narcissistic to ask people to call you by a specific thing? That... If you wanted to make the argument that there was something wrong with neopronouns, the argument would probably be that it's pretty silly and, like, never before has anybody called each other like tree self up until recent history, and even that wouldn't be a very valid argument because that's not how language works. But how is it is it narcissistic to ask someone to call you by your nickname and not your full name? You're obviously, if you freak out on someone if they refuse, then maybe that's rude, but it's not narcissistic, which is the pot calling the kettle black, because Blair White might be one of the most narcissistic people on the internet.
Came out as transgender, and my parents and my family and stuff, like, they had, you know, it was a process to come around to using she all the time. Now they do, obviously, but in the beginning it takes some time to go from he to she. But to go from like normal human interactions and human language to be like...
That's interesting, because Blair White's own fans don't even call her she in my comment section when they come to my videos. Blair White's whole house is filled with pictures of herself. Like, you're not wrong. You're not wrong, chat. Literally, Trans Girl Lily, you can see in the background she has pictures of herself up. This reminds me of that one meme. You know how, like, Vosh has that painting of himself in the background of his stream? Somebody made a meme, I saw it on Reddit a few months ago, where, like, Vosh is taking a girl home, or if a girl is taking Vosh home, and Vosh is drunk, and he lays down on the bed, and the girl looks over and sees the painting of him on the wall, and then picks up her shoes and leaves. Or maybe it's a dude, I can't remember. But no, Blair White does unironically have a bunch of pictures of herself up on the wall in her own house. That is accurate.
Hey, tree self. Hey, girl. That's ill. It's very much serving the same energy as, like, pick out the red and yellow M&Ms for me, darling. Like, it's very that. And my next thought on that is we really need to, at some point, have a discussion for the expectation for me as a trans person. And not even just me. Let's talk about trans people in general. Everyone hates when I use me as an example, even though I am trans. So, like, it's like, why shouldn't I? The expectation for trans people to not only accept, but view and regurgitate this sort of thing as comparable to their own experience, right? Like, the expectation for actual trans people...
There isn't any expectation, Blair. All that people are asking you to do is not shit on them for it. Nobody expects you to do anything. At this point, we expect you to make a video like this. But in best case scenario, nobody expects everyone who's trans or everybody in general to be like a outspoken advocate for whatever community. Most people are grillers, you know? Most people just want to grill. And most trans people are fine with that. As long as, believe it or not, trans people are like other people. They're like normal people, dude, where they just want to live their lives and not have their rights taken away, and to at least be respected on the same level as any other person, you know? Did you guys know that? I know it's pretty wild, but Yeah, that's all anyone's asking for here, Blair. You're the one that's saying no. I need to make my YouTube channel where I make fun of them all the time.
People to view identifying as a fucking tree as still falling under the trans umbrella and like we're still the same. Like, that's an insult. Does the struggle really mean anything if it can just be boiled down to like the same thing as hi, I'm a tree? So something I've noticed upon research.
What is this argument? I hear it all the time. I've heard Calvin Gara make this argument too. I've heard every Truska make this argument. How is it harming trans people if society accepts neopronouns? Nobody is trying to generalize the experience of trans people. Like, okay, hold on. I don't think anybody under the sun with any following or any relevance in any sphere is actually arguing that let's say you're a trans woman who, you know, you just came out, you're going to get on hormones, you're going to get surgery, you're, you know, socially transitioning, you're trying to make it so that everyone in your life is accepting of you. Maybe your family isn't, so you've been ostracized by your family. I don't think anyone is arguing that's on the same level or trying to generalize that with like someone who doesn't really plan to do anything other than change their pronouns and they have like neopronouns. I don't think anybody with any pull whatsoever is advocating for that at all.
Researching neopronouns and who exactly uses them through TikTok, because where else, of course, would people use these pronouns but TikTok? It's almost overwhelmingly exclusively.
Also, Blair White identifies as a woman as if women actually exist. Pepe laugh.
Like teenagers using them. Teenagers being like, my pronouns are vamp and vamp self because they want to be fucking vampires. We're talking young teenagers, like, you know, like James Charles victims age. That, yeah. So obviously I didn't want to put like minors on here and be like, what are you doing? Because you know what they're doing. It's like, it's the new emo. It really is. And frankly, if anyone here knows what
It's the new emo? Okay, hold on. Oh, God. Twitter's gonna get me for this one. It is true that there are some, like, a lot of young people who get into, like, they don't identify as trans, but they get into that sort of aesthetic that you would typically associate with, like, being an SJW, like the colored hair and the side cut and all that. But there aren't kids that are just, like, pretending to be trans for clout. Blair knows that, like, coming out as trans is pretty fucking detrimental, especially depending on where you live. Do you think that, like, kids to be cool are willing to, like, give up the acceptance of, like, most of their friends and family? Also, kids are cringe, Blair. Of course kids post cringe sometimes. They're not pretending to be trans. Also, it's worth... Yeah. It's basically adopting a queer aesthetic is a thing that happens a lot in like younger circles. However, I'd actually argue that it depends on what circle you're talking about, right? Like, it's very similar to how cliques back in like middle school and high school worked. Like, most kids around the age of like 14 to 19 are probably like edgy libertarians, right? Like, that's how it's pronounced, Miss Type F. I used to pronounce it click, but it's pronounced clique, okay? Shut the fuck up. Suck my dick. I fucked your mom. I'm now your stepdad. I got your mom pregnant, and she gave birth to you. I'm actually your father. Thank you, Miss Type F. Like, most kids from the age of, like, 14 to 19 are, like, edgy high school libertarian type dudes who are probably pretty transphobic and queerphobic on a lot of issues, and they like to make homophobic jokes and racist jokes and whatnot. But there are groups of people that are a bit more, you know, progressive in you know, these little groups, you know, and they adopt the queer aesthetic. Also, of course, more young people are going to come out as trans when our society is generally trending in a direction a bit more accepting of trans people and just LGBT people across the board.
I looked like in high school. It's not that much of a motherfucking stretch to think I would have probably, if neopronouns were like a trend when I was in high school, used them. Although, I don't know, it was very anti-label back then. Remember when people were anti-labels?
Okay, I'm going to be honest here. Any kid who identified in high school or middle school, any kid who identified by... I don't know what Blair thinks is going on in high schools and middle schools now, but I'm calling it right now because I was in high school and middle school a lot more recently than Blair was. If anyone identified with neopronouns when I was in school, they would have gotten the shit beaten out of them. This is not a good thing, by the way, but it debunks Blair's argument. I can't think of a single high school or middle school in the country where even right now a kid could identify with neopronouns and not get mercilessly bullied. Who the fuck? It's not like cool and hip. It's maybe cool and hip on the internet and certain social spaces, like on Twitter and Tumblr and stuff like that, but it is definitely not in school. Like, holy shit. Yeah, maybe it's because I come from Florida and that's what it's like there, but I can't think there are very many places where that's cool, you know, or hip or trendy, you know?
Now it's like collecting labels like they're fucking Pokemon. Like, I don't know. But there are definitely some adults who use them. Meet Bunny. Bun? Bunny?
Hi, my name is Bunny, and I use bun pronouns. Bun pronouns are a form of neopronoun. Outside of he and she pronouns, there's a whole world of neopronouns that can be used. In my case, mine are based off of bunny. So instead of she, her, hers, herself, it's bun, bun, buns, oneself.
So the thing is, do not go and like
Bun's just vibing, Blair. Bun is just vibing, okay? Let's just let them do their thing, okay? Let's just let them do their thing. I feel like Bun would call me racist on Twitter, but they're just vibing right now, so just let them do their own thing, okay?
send this person any hate. I'm going to remove their @ so that doesn't happen, because I think
there you go,
to
Blair.
anyone
That's nice of
who
you.
can watch this TikTok, it's very clear this person is probably struggling with like some other issues, right? The only point to be made here is that not all issues need to be validated. At what point?
Now it's like the mental illness thing. Okay, so all right. I would definitely agree that this person's maybe a little, eccentric, a little odd. They're doing some educational stuff here, though. It's a good message that I can appreciate, but they're not like, I don't think they're mentally ill. I don't know how you could try to argue that they're, that's what she's arguing right now, by the way. She's doing armchair psychology. She's trying to argue that just because this person is like, dressed pretty ridiculously, that they're like mentally ill.
World to call you a bunny, and like, what? You're neglecting the issues that you need to really be dealing with and replacing
What issues,
it with
Blair?
policing people and how they talk to you, and like
Policing people?
micromanaging the way in which people speak all around you. If anyone ever
Dude, Blair had such an easy argument she could have done there. All Blair had to do was laugh at how ridiculous that person was dressed and like just go with ad homs attacking that person's appearance. But instead, she's trying to argue that that person was trying to like police people's language. What are you doing, Blair? Have you lost it? You had such an easy gotcha there by just ad homing that person, but instead you had to make up like a narrative about policing people's language. What are you doing? Dude, what's happened to the anti-SJW community? What's happened to the skeptics? They used to know how to do this kind of shit. All you have to... Blair, your audience are 14-year-old conservative boys at this point. All you needed to do to get the like on the video, to get the views, to get the merch, is just to make fun of that person's appearance. Why do you have to make this whole, like, groundbreaking, earth-shattering narrative about like, a policing language or whatever? She's only at 943,000 subscribers. She lost a ton. She was just barely over 1 million or something whenever the Janae Marie Kroc thing happened. Then she lost like over 50,000, and she hasn't been able to recover.
ever asked me to refer to them as a bunny, I would just reply with, "Oh baby, that's your problem. And I gotta go. No, I don't have time to, dive into this particular endeavor with you, but I'm gonna pray for you." I have...
Holy shit. I wonder if Blair's ever had that exact same reaction when she told people that she's a woman. How fucking condescending and rude can you be? Oh, no, sweetie. You have problems to deal with, but I'll pray for you. Homie, what?
I've, though, known one person in my life who goes by Z Zer, and little story time. So there was this guy that...
Oh yeah, I should mention, by the way, that like these neopronouns are extremely fucking rare. There isn't like a massive trend of people going by... Oh, excuse me. There isn't like I love the juxtaposition of me just being here in a Pickle Rick shirt and burping, and Blaire White being all bimboed up in her like white RGB room, you know, her gamer room here. You can see all the RGB lights. I love the juxtaposition there. No, but I don't want you guys to believe that like the neopronoun thing is this massive, overwhelming trend. It's extremely niche. It's not even like very social. Like it doesn't even have much social influence, if we're being completely honest.
He transitioned from a girl to a guy. This was in college. From a girl to a guy. Regretted it. Tried to transition back. Couldn't really reverse a lot of the stuff, and so eventually came to like a compromise where he was existing as like a Z-zer, not like a he or a she, but like a Z or a zer, right? And I don't know, the way I am is like...
I'm gonna go ahead and guess that the way Blaire White is telling this story is probably very misrepresentative. We're talking about someone who faked her political compass results in one of her videos. You guys know about that, right? Do you guys remember when Blaire White faked her political compass results? I feel like after that, Blaire White's lost all of her credibility and trust that I'll give her for a story that she's telling completely with no evidence whatsoever. Hold on, I want to see if we can bring that up really quick. So for those of you guys that don't know, she did a political compass a while back, and she put herself into the Oh. Apparently Blaire White's fans mass reported the video and got it taken down. Hold on, let's see if I can find another
Hey guys, welcome back.
Let me see if I can find an image of it. Yep, here's an image that depicts it here. So basically, so here's the funny thing, all right? So Blaire White faked her political compass and put the little red dot here in like the libertarian right category. The thing is, when you do the political compass, the way that she edited it was she just put like the picture over what was actually there, but left the URL up. And it turns out, depending on your political compass results, the URL is like individual. It's unique. And so people typed in the URL and found that she was actually around here, you know, in the libertarian left category, a fucking liberal. And on top of that, not only did they find that she lied about it, but she literally had the tab open that read libertarian or center-right political compass in the tab on her screen when showing her results. She had the image. She had the tab where she searched for the image open on her fucking browser. So yeah, the lady who faked her political compass results so that she could continue to grift as like a center-right person when she's in reality probably like a lib, like a center-left lib who hates non-binary people. I'm going to go ahead and call bullshit on that story.
Like, I'm probably not going to try to talk to you if you have these types of pronouns, because I know I'm going to slip up, and like I'm not trying to like have a confrontation with someone because I'm not calling them Caesar or bunny and frog. Like,
oh yeah, of course she has 4chan open as well. Yeah, I'm just gonna, you know, not talk to you if you have these pronouns because I know I'm gonna slip up, and I don't know if I'm gonna be able to call you by these pronouns. You know, it's just for your own safety. You know, come on, Blair, you know what you're doing.
Cantaloupe, watermelon, microphone, whatever. But we had mutual friends, so he came over to my townhouse in college for a party. I used to throw the most banger parties, oh my god. And within 5 minutes of being in my house, he had an absolute mental breakdown over the color blue. I'm not exaggerating. He said that he had a trigger for the color blue, and that if he saw it, it brought back like some sort of PTSD or just something crazy. And so he threw a huge panic attack and meltdown in the bathroom, and of course everyone was like trying to tend to him and like, you know, trying to get him to come out of the bathroom, and like it was just a lot. Needless to say,
Wait, hold on. If this story actually is true, which I highly doubt it is, does Blair not believe that PTSD is real? I feel like the triggered meme has kind of fucked up recognition of people with PTSD quite a bit. They're like, okay. Let me give some context to this that could possibly sort of elucidate what could have happened, okay? Let's say when you were a kid, you got sexually assaulted by, like, a dude, right? Some family member, somebody, I don't know, right? And they were, like, wearing a blue shirt or blue jeans or something like that. So when you see the color blue, it reminds you of getting sexually assaulted, and it causes you to have, like, a trigger, which is what happens when you have PTSD and you had a traumatic event in your life, and it sort of reminds you of that, and you have a panic attack, okay? That's what triggered comes from. Is Blair White making fun of people who've gone through experiences like that, and that kind of thing sets off their PTSD? What about soldiers from the military who have a panic attack when they hear a loud noise because it reminds them of being on the battlefield and seeing their friends die or them getting a grievous injury? Is this just what Blair White's channel is now, making fun of people who have trauma? Plus, of course, we're making fun of someone who probably doesn't exist. I mean, lying about your political compass results, oof, kind of ruined your credibility there, Blair.
Hang out with him again, that was a bit much for me. But I say that to say, like, one thing I learned from going to therapy, and because I did go to therapy after my sexual assault when I was younger to sort of cope with it.
Wait, so does she have Yeah, maybe that person had a similar experience. Maybe they did get therapy. Therapy doesn't work for everybody. Meds don't work for everybody. Talk to anybody who knows anything. Listen, I don't even know all that much. I took one psychology class in high school, okay? That's the limit of my education on this. But I know enough to be able to say that medication and therapy is very much on a case-by-case basis, okay? The human brain isn't, like, cloned between every individual. The balance of chemicals and the overall structure of an individual's brain is very unique to everybody else's. So when it comes to treating someone for an issue like PTSD or helping them get over or manage trauma from a event that happened in their lives, it is very much experimental. A lot of people, when they get medication, have to try different dosages, different kinds of medication. They have to do a whole bunch of different trials on it because the doctor can't just look at your brain and know what your chemistry is. They have to experiment with it. You have to try different types of therapy. Sometimes therapy doesn't work for some people. It works for most people, but not for everybody.
Your triggers are not anyone else's responsibility. Like, truly.
That's not what anybody is arguing. Do you think that, like, hold on. Hey, listen, your triggers aren't anyone else's responsibility. If you got raped by your stepdad when you were 12 years old and he was wearing a blue shirt, so now when you see the color blue, it kind of makes you have a panic attack. If you react in any way, if you have that panic attack, it's completely your fault. You're being rude. Your triggers aren't anyone... I like how I have blue lights on in the background. Your triggers aren't anyone else's responsibility, and you're a piece of shit if you have a panic attack because of your PTSD and the traumatic experience you had when you were younger. Just why are you being so selfish with your PTSD? Jeez. Learn to manage it, hun. God, Jesus Christ. That was a pretty good Blair White impression, though, I think. I think I was spot on with that one.
They are for you and you alone to work through, and it's unfair to put that responsibility on other people. It's the same way that when I transitioned and I wanted people to call me she, like, I did have to put in a certain amount of effort and work to do that. Like, I wasn't just gonna be presenting as male, screaming at my mom to call me she, otherwise, like, I hate her. That defies common sense, it's unfair, and it's highly narcissistic. So that's what I think about when I think about
what. Why is it narcissistic and how is it unfair? Now, there is part of this argument that is correct. If you want to go out in society, and let's say you're a trans woman, and you want to be she-heard all day by people you've never met before, by complete strangers, then yeah, most likely you're going to have to put a fair amount of effort into passing as a woman. I mean, that's just kind of, unfortunately, the society that we live in. You have to put in a certain amount of effort for that. It's not entirely the fault of the people that would be running into you. But if we're talking about, like, family members and people that know you, that know that you're trans, if they're unwilling to like gender you properly, unless you put in enough effort, whatever that means, then they're probably just being pieces of shit. Actually, no, they're definitely just being pieces of shit.
People who really need everyone to speak a certain way around them and control the way everyone's talking, like, that's gross. And honestly, the politicization of pronouns have really been one of the biggest downfalls for the trans community.
Shut up, Blair. You're part of the problem here. You're the one, the right are the ones that have been politicizing this, okay? You can't say that politicizing pronouns has become a huge problem when it is almost entirely the right that has made this an issue in the culture war fucking dynamic, okay? That's all you. It's all the conservative media demagogues, all right? Trans people just want to live and do their own thing. They just want to grill. You guys are the ones making it into a big political issue. You guys are the ones perpetuating this culture war, okay?
The moment there started to be bills proposed that would like fine people for misgendering people in the workplace and enforcing...
Oh my God, Blair. We're going back to 2016. She's referencing that one New York bill and Bill C-16 in Canada. By the way, nobody has been arrested. Nobody has faced any charges for those, by the way, since 2017? I think it was 2017. We are now in 2021. Those bills were put in place in 2017. And no one has gotten in trouble for it. All they did there was make gender identity a protected class. This also included cis men and women, by the way. So basically the idea was if you were renting out an apartment, if you were an employer or anything like that, if you were going out of your way to misgender somebody that you knew identified as like a different gender purposefully for the sake of harassing them, then you could potentially press charges for it because it's harassment. That's all it was. And it hasn't happened yet. Because most people are, at the very least, at least in the workplace or when it comes to renting a building or if you're like, or a house or whatever, then most people have the common courtesy of being like, okay, you identify as a woman? All right, she, her. Yeah, doesn't really, no skin off my back, you know?
Pronoun usage. We saw Bill C-16 in Canada. Certain ones have happened here, but really not as severe. That was the biggest downfall because anytime people feel like you're like, going after them and trying to...
Oh yeah, by the way, C-16 was already an established law in Canada. They just expanded it to gender identity. This also goes for cis people too. I should clarify. It's not just trans people. If you're a cis person, if you're like a dude, like a cis guy, and you're at work and your boss keeps on calling you like ma'am for some reason, or like calls you a woman to like fuck with you, and you're getting uncomfortable from it and you keep telling them to stop, but it's repeated and it's like clearly just like your boss is shitting on you, then you can press charges for you. You should not be able to press charges for your boss harassing you after you repeatedly, over and over again, tell them to stop. Yeah.
At least the way they talk, they're going to get angry. And speaking of trauma, like at some point we also have to talk about people who identify as trans due to trauma rather than because they have gender dysphoria or because they are actually trans. So recently, Courtney Stock...
All right, Blair, let's not pretend like you know anywhere enough about psychology to be able to argue that there's a significant amount of people that are identifying as trans because of trauma. Hey, mods in YouTube chat, if anyone is doing stuff that's worth banning, no timeouts or deleting messages, just insta-ban them, okay? We don't do timeouts or anything like that here. We just do insta-bans, okay?
Came out as trans or as non-binary, as a they, them, and has made some headlines from that. If you don't know who Courtney Stodden is, she was a reality star and a media figure, and she rose to fame because she was 16 and married a 60-year-old man, and the relationship began before she was even 16.
Oh, damn, sounds like a conservative. Hey, guess what? Hey, Blair, you know who passed and protects the laws that allow that kind of shit to happen? Blair? You aware of that? You aware of how conservatives have been trying to protect child marriage in this country for the last 200 years? How conservatives have been trying to keep Democrats from banning child marriage? Oof. That one didn't go well for you, for anyone who knows anything about the problem of child marriage in America.
Her mother consented to marry her off to a 60-year-old man. Literal child bride in America. She came out on Instagram writing,
Yeah,
they,
conservatives,
them,
dude.
theirs. I don't identify as she or her. I've never felt like I fit in anywhere. She goes on to write, I was bullied horribly in high school because I was different. The other
Wait, is she gonna try to argue that because this girl was married off at 16 to a 60-year-old man, that means that she has trauma that made her identify as non-binary? Where is your evidence for that?
girls never understood me. It got so bad that my mom pulled me out of school, and still I don't fit in. I never really connected with anyone my age. And I'm sorry, but there's really nothing in there that's indicative of being trans. Like the age thing, I don't even get. Like, are you also trans age? Like,
What?
I don't get it. I don't know, dude.
She said she didn't fit in with the other
like
kids.
a very misguided attempt at assessing some sort of trauma. Because when you're a 16-year-old child bride, and maybe you were bullied in school and stuff, like, I'd be willing to bet that she...
Yeah, she probably does have trauma, considering she was married off when she was 16 to a fucking 60-year-old, but what's that have to do with her being trans? What qualification... Also, very good pause screen. What qualification do you have to draw a parallel between her being non-binary and her having been married off as a child? Do you have, like, a psychology degree, Blair?
She has a certain amount of trauma from that. I'm pretty sure she's talked about the trauma that all of that caused, like marrying off so young to an old man. And I see this a lot. People who like join the trans community and their reasoning behind it is
Source, just trust me. They're totally they're totally faking being trans because screenshot for the thumbnail. True. Yeah, she was soy facing.
to address some sort of trauma they experienced earlier in life. The problem is you're most likely not identifying the actual trauma and healing from it and moving on from it, but using trans as a scapegoat or as a band-aid, and it's not going to work. Also, it's...
How does that even work? How does identifying as trans work as a band-aid or a scapegoat for trauma? Oh yeah, sorry for that, Dr. Dragon. How would that even work?
really not missed on me that in recent years it seems like a really cheap, easy way to get a lot of media attention for celebrities to come out as they, them, and non-binary and trans and all that. And of course it's very convenient to come out as a they, them because you don't have to actually commit to any sort of transition. As
a they, them, because you don't have to commit. Wait, does Blair not know that people who identify by they, them pronouns do transition? Plenty? I know people who identify as they, them, who were assigned male at birth and have like taken HRT and gotten surgery and they present extremely femme, but they go by they, them. What are you talking about, Blair? I feel like we got to give Blair some of those we got to give Blair some advice here, okay? Because her channel's dying and I feel bad about it. Blair, you're a conservative channel. You don't have to try to make these convoluted arguments about trauma and policing language. All you have to do is make fun of people's appearance, Blair. You're a conservative YouTuber. Most of your audience doesn't even think that you're a woman. You just make fun of their appearance and you're fine, okay? You don't have to strain yourself so much to make these massive reaches, okay? You're a conservative channel. All your fans are there to hear is you shitting on other trans people, okay? It's all they're there for. You can just attack their appearance. That's all you have to do. And they'll be happy. They'll subscribe. They'll like your videos. That's all they're there for. It's unfortunate, but that's the hole you've dug yourself into.
Position. Courtney Stodden, Sam Smith, the guy from Queer Eye whose name I can't remember, the one who looks like Jesus, the actor we talked about earlier with Tree and Tree Self, and literally just so many more I can't even think of. And I'm not saying every single one of them is disingenuine, but like also, I'm pretty sure these celebrities get a ton of attention every single time they
eat a bagel. Hold on. Blair, have you ever heard of TMZ? You understand there's an entire TV show based around stalking these celebrities and making a big deal out of them going to a coffee shop and ordering a bagel, right? Like, I don't think if these people wanted attention, these celebrities wanted attention, they would have to come out as trans or pretend to come out as trans to get said attention. They can just go and get a different flavor of bagel in the morning and there'll be fucking paparazzi there ready to talk about it on TMZ, all right? Like, let's be real here.
a little too convenient that it's just one after another after another after another, when you know that if this was 2014 or 2013 before this was even a trend, they would not be coming out. Like, half of a celebrity's job is just to follow trends anyways, and this just seems like another one, and it's very frustrating. That's why I'm not as mad when it's like a kid doing it, okay? Like, I'm not gonna get into that. But when it comes to these adults, y'all are like slandering trans people by trying to say you're trans and also a tree in a butt.
Living your life is slandering trans people, I guess, if that's how things work now, I suppose. Okay, I guess that's the world we live in now. Living your life and identifying how you want to is slandering trans people. You got me, dude. You got me, Blair. You got me.
Bunny, like, fuck off. Anyways, that is it for this video, you guys. Make sure you...
Nice meme. Nice short video. Nice dunk on Blair White. Dude, I love dunking on Blair White, okay? I feel like Blair is extremely lacking in self-awareness. That last bit there talking about slandering, like, people identifying as non-binary or with neopronouns is slandering trans people when Blair White's entire career has been exactly that, slandering other trans people. I'm surprised that she has the stones to say that after the Janae Marie Kroc thing, where she blatantly and purposefully lied about all these things about that woman and got in a shit ton of trouble with it and lost a ton of her active subscribers because of it, and is now viewed as a laughingstock in both the makeup community and the tea community, which she used to be a part of, and has now basically been entirely pigeonholed into talking about like the culture war conservative stuff. Believe it or not, prior to Blair White getting in trouble for the Janae Marie Kroc stuff, she had her finger in a lot of other pies. She was fairly prominent in the tea community, which is like the drama. I don't even know how to define it. Hold on. Is there like a better definition that I could possibly dig up here? Tea community. It's hard to describe. It's just gossip shit, right? Like drama, but with sort of a flick of the wrist, like the sharp nails, the acrylic nails that go click, click, click. Like, here's the motherfucking tea. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? So she was pretty into that community. She was also fairly prominent in the makeup community as well. But after all of this, oh boy, she was already on thin ice. But after that, Blair White's basically been fully pigeonholed into the conservative demagoguery. She recently talked about James Charles. How did that do? 3 weeks ago, 457,000 views. That's still a lot, but for her channel, not all that great. Reddit is defending trans predator Amy Chancellor. Why? Milo Yiannopoulos comes out as straight, ex-gay. Okay. Super straight movement has the trans community furious. And then a video on Marilyn Manson's predator accusations. Okay. Yeah, she's not doing all that. She isn't doing all that well. She isn't doing all that well nowadays. I really wish that she could just, like... I really hoped... I knew there were two outcomes that would happen after that debate that she did on that panel with John Doyle and that one crazy blonde lady who just kept on calling her a, like, degenerate, fucking delusional man the whole time. I thought maybe that would make her realize that she's catering to the wrong community and all it's going to do is lead to her own downfall. But apparently she saw that and realized that she needed to go even more mask off and that she needs to shill even harder to be like the... to be the perfect trans person for these conservative, like, 14-year-old white boys. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. I really do appreciate it. Subscribe and ring the bell icon if you're new and you want to see more from me. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok through links in the description, as well as joining my fan Discord if you want to debate me. I would love... If you're a Blair White fan, you want to debate me, I'll debate you. I'll even debate the validity of Blair White's gender identity against a Blair White fan, because I know all of you Blair White fans don't even think she's a woman. I've seen your comments on my videos, so if you want to debate me, join my fan Discord. You can come on stream and own the liberal, own the cuck, the lib cuck on stream. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you want to support me financially, you can donate or subscribe on my website, xanderhall.com/live. I really appreciate it. And you can super chat me or hit the join button, become a channel member on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for watching, and have a good one.